The phone rang at 1:03 a.m., slicing through the quiet with a sound that didn't belong to the living world. I sat up slowly, the darkness of my bedroom pressing in as I reached for the screen. The number wasn't saved. It wasn't familiar. It wasn't anything at all. But the voice that followed? "Mom, open the door. It's cold out here." Everything inside me stopped. Because I knew that voice. Its trembling, its softness, the way it always rose slightly at the end of a plea. It was my daughter's voice. My daughter who died 4 years ago. For a moment I couldn't breathe. Grief has a memory, and mine recognized what logic refused to accept. I forced myself out of bed, each step shaky as I moved through the hallway. The house felt different, too still, like the walls were holding their breath with me. My name is Elena, I'm 48, and I have spent 4 years learning how to live with silence where my daughter's laughter once bloomed. But tonight, silence wasn't what waited for me. At the front door, the cold from outside seeped through the wood, brushing my skin like fingers I hadn't felt in years. My hand hovered over the lock, trembling. "Mom, please. Open the door." My knees nearly gave out. I leaned forward, pressing my eye to the peephole, expecting, hoping, to see an empty porch, a trick of fatigue, a prank. But she stood there. My daughter. Her hair damp from the fog. Her coat the same one she wore the day she disappeared. Her eyes wide, desperate, shimmering with something that looked like frost, or sorrow. She lifted her hand to the door gently. "Mama, help me. Please." A whisper. A plea. A nightmare that felt like love resurrected. And somehow, impossibly, she was waiting for me. I stumbled back from the door, my breath breaking into pieces I couldn't gather. My mind raced in frantic circles. Memory, denial, hope, terror, all crashing into one another until none of them felt real. My daughter had been gone for 4 years. I had buried the coat she was wearing now. I had stood over a casket. I had signed paperwork. I had held her cold hand one final time. She could not be here. And yet, her shadow stretched across my porch, faint and trembling in the moonlight. "Mom?" Her voice drifted through the cracks of the door, softer now, frayed at the edges. "Don't leave me out here. It's cold." My hands shook as I touched the lock again. My heart thrashed with impossible longing and bone-deep fear. Every maternal instinct screamed to open the door. Every part of my rational mind begged me to run. "Where have you been?" I whispered through the wood, afraid of my own words. Silence. Then, I came back. The way she said it, fragile, careful, carried the heaviness of years and something else, something hollow. A sound that didn't belong entirely to the living. My legs trembled beneath me. "Sweetheart. I don't understand." "Please, Mom," she whispered. "Let me in. I'm so cold." I pressed my forehead to the door. Tears blurred my vision. "If this is real," I whispered, "touch the window, show me." I turned slowly toward the small glass pane beside the door. And then I saw it. A hand. Small. Pale. Pressing against the window from outside. But not a child's hand. Fingers too long. Skin too thin. Blue beneath the nails. Not frozen. Drained. My breath caught painfully. "Mom?" the voice asked from the porch, still gentle, still familiar. But the hand on the glass. It didn't belong to any daughter I remembered. I stared at the hand on the window, unable to move, unable to breathe. The shape was wrong, too flat against the glass, as if every bone inside it had softened or melted. The fingers left faint smudges, streaked downward like someone dragging wet paint. But the voice outside remained warm. Familiar. Human. "Mom, why aren't you opening?" My stomach twisted. The voice and the hand didn't belong to the same thing. One was my daughter. The other. I wasn't sure it belonged to anything that had ever been alive. I forced myself to step closer, though every instinct screamed to stay away. I had to see. I had to know. Slowly, I lifted the curtain beside the window, just an inch. The porch light flickered. Her face appeared. My daughter's face. But not the one I buried. Her skin was too pale, almost translucent, reflecting the porch light in unnatural ways. Her hair hung wet and heavy, dripping onto her coat. And her eyes. God, her eyes. They were the same shade as the day she disappeared, but too wide, too glassy, like a photograph that hadn't finished developing. She leaned closer to the window, fogging it with a slow exhale. "Mom, I don't like the cold." I dropped the curtain and stepped back, my pulse thundering through my ears. What was I looking at? A hallucination? A dream? Something wearing her voice? Something wearing her face? I backed away from the door, but the boards creaked under my feet, betraying my movements. "Mom?" she whispered again. Don't walk away. Her voice broke then, cracked into something raw, something aching, something that reached into my ribs and pulled. I need you. Please. My knees buckled. Because that was her voice. The voice she used the night she vanished, the last night I ever heard her alive. Somehow, this thing remembered it. The house felt smaller now, its shadows stretching across the floor like they were leaning in to listen. I backed into the hallway, one trembling step at a time, keeping my eyes on the door as though it might burst open on its own. A soft tapping began. Not on the window. On the door. 3 slow knocks. Then another. Mom? Her voice was thinner now. Almost breaking. Why won't you let me in? Because you're not her, I wanted to say. Because you can't be. Because nothing returns from death wearing a child's voice this perfectly. But grief is a beggar. It pleads louder than fear. It whispers things you know aren't true but ache to believe. I steadied my breath. Sweetheart, how did you find me? A pause outside. Then, I walked. Her words trembled as if the sentence itself had cost her something. You walked, I repeated, forcing calm. From where? Silence stretched. Too long. Too heavy. Then her voice returned. Lower, softer, almost rehearsed. From the place you left me. My blood ran cold. I never left you. You did, she whispered. You didn't come find me. You didn't save me. My heart twisted painfully. Her disappearance had been a wound I never healed. A night I replayed for years. What if I had checked earlier? What if I had noticed the unlocked back door? What if? But this voice wasn't accusing me. It was mimicking my guilt. I could hear it now, the shape beneath the words. Not a child's emotion. Something older. Hungrier. The tapping stopped. I held my breath, listening. Then something scraped slowly down the door. As if nails, or something like nails, were dragging from the top to the bottom. Mom? Her voice cracked into a sound that was almost a sob. Let me inside. I'm so cold where I am. A chill slid up my spine. She wasn't asking to come into the house. She was asking to come back into the world. The scraping along the door stopped as suddenly as it had begun, leaving the hallway thick with a silence that felt listening. I held my breath without meaning to, terrified that even the sound of lungs working might be enough to draw her closer. Sweetheart, I whispered, tell me, where have you been these 4 years? Outside, the porch light buzzed faintly. Then, I was waiting. Her voice came softer, as if drifting through water. Waiting where? I pressed. Another too long silence. Then, down there. A cold, invisible hand closed around my spine. Down where? The place you put me. My legs nearly gave out. I never put you anywhere. I looked for you. Every day. Every night. I never stopped. A sound rose from the other side of the door. Not crying, not breathing, but something between the two. A wet, shuddering inhale like lungs filling after too long without air. It was dark, she whispered. So dark, Mama. I squeezed my eyes shut against the sting building behind them. If you're really my daughter, tell me something only she would know. For the first time since this began, the voice hesitated. Then quietly. You used to braid my hair before school. 3 braids. Always 3. My heart clenched. Yes, I did. And you would sing to me when it thundered. To make me brave. My hand drifted toward the lock. But I'm not brave anymore, she whispered. Because it hurts where I'm stuck. My fingers froze an inch from the door. Stuck. The word clung to the air, heavy, suffocating. Where are you stuck? I whispered. Her voice sharpened, trembling with something no living child should ever feel. In the ground, Mama. In the dirt. It's so cold down here. A sob tore out of my throat before I could stop it. The porch light flickered. Once, twice. Then her voice changed. Lower. Closer. Let me inside, so I don't have to go back. My hand hovered over the lock, trembling so violently I could hear my own pulse in my ears. She was gone. Buried. Laid to rest in a cemetery whose soil I had touched every month for 4 years. Yet her voice seeped through my door like fog, soft, pleading, familiar in all the wrong ways. Mom, she whispered again, but the tone had shifted. Too steady. Too focused. As if she'd learned exactly how to shape my longing into a key. I forced air into my lungs. If you're really here, why come tonight? A slow exhale pressed against the other side of the wood. Because tonight, you finally heard me. My breath hitched. Heard you? I've been calling, Mama, she said. Knocking. Scratching. Wanting you to wake up. Scratching. My stomach twisted. I remembered nights when I'd woken from half dreams, certain I'd heard something against the window, barely there, too faint to name. I dismissed it every time. Grief echoing. House shifting. Imagination breaking. Had it been her? Or something pretending to be? I stepped back. What do you want? Her answer was immediate. You. The porch light flickered aggressively now, the bulb buzzing like a trapped insect. A faint shadow wavered beneath the door, longer than a child should be, shifting strangely as if pulled by threads. Let me in, Mom. Please. I can't stay here. Her voice wavered, but not with fear, with urgency. I swallowed hard. Where is your body? A beat. Then. Don't ask that. The tone cracked, deeper now, like two voices layered. I gripped the edge of the table beside me to steady myself. Tell me. The voice sharpened, losing its softness. You don't want to know. I took another step back, panic rising. What happened to you? Who did this? Silence. Heavy. Dead. Then, with a whisper that slid under the door like cold smoke. Let me inside, and I'll show you. A shape pressed against the bottom gap of the door. Not feet. Something dragging. I stumbled backward as the shape beneath the door shifted. Slow, deliberate, dragging across the wood like someone pulling a soaked blanket. But there was weight to it. Too much weight for a child. Too much weight for anything standing upright. My breath hitched as I whispered, "You're not her." A low, trembling sound rose from the other side. Not a cry, not a voice. Something deeper, like wind pushing through a hollow place. Then her voice returned abruptly, bright and desperate, as if patched back onto something that didn't know how to wear it. Mama, don't say that. It's me. It's your little girl. My whole body shook. My daughter didn't drag herself on the ground. Pause. Too long. Too still. Then. I didn't want to. The words cracked on the edges. But I had to, after they put me there. My knees weakened. Oh. Who put you there? The porch light hummed violently, then blew out. Darkness swallowed the silhouette outside. Open the door, Mom, she whispered. I'm scared. But fear was wrong. Her voice trembled, but something beneath it did not. I forced myself closer, not to open the door but to listen. Something wet dripped onto the porch boards. A slow, rhythmic pattern. Not rain. Not tears. Decay. Tell me what happened to you, I whispered. Tell me the truth. Her voice cracked like ice. You didn't find me. Then sharper, almost angry. You let me stay there. No, I breathed. I searched everywhere. The voice broke into a jagged whisper. You looked in the wrong place. My pulse hammered. Where? Tell me where. Silence again. But this silence felt, thinking. Then she whispered, soft as a blade sliding into cloth. Let me inside, and I'll show you where they hid me. My blood froze. They? Something scraped the door again. Higher this time. Standing height. The scraping rose until it reached the peephole. Whatever stood on my porch now was no longer on the ground. It had risen, too fast, too quietly, to match a human height. My breath snagged in my throat as a shadow darkened the tiny circle of glass. Then her voice, my daughter's voice, came again, but this time it carried no tremble. Only certainty. Mom, open the door. I pressed my back against the hallway wall, shaking. Tell me who they are. Tell me who hurt you. Pause. Then the answer slid through the door like a cold hand around my heart. You know. I shook my head violently. I don't. I would never. Yes, you do. Not a whisper now. A layered voice echoing itself. You know who never came to help. Who told you I was probably fine. Who said you were overreacting. My breath stilled. My ex-husband. Her father. He had dismissed every fear I had the night she disappeared. Told me she was with a friend. Told me I worried too much. Told me to relax, that she'd come home on her own. She never did. Something cold and certain settled in my stomach. Did he hurt you? I asked quietly. Silence. Then. He put me in the ground, Mama? A sob tore from my chest. Sweetheart, I didn't know. I would have saved you. I know, she whispered. That's why I came back. I stared at the door, horrified, grieving, trembling. What do you want from me? Her answer arrived in two voices, hers layered with something deeper, older, hungrier. I want you to open the door. No, I whispered. You're not my daughter. Open it. The doorknob twisted violently. My entire body jolted. Then suddenly, it stopped. Silence fell, thick and absolute. When I finally peeked out the window, the porch was empty. Only wet footprints remained, small, bare, leading down the steps. until they vanished into the darkness. Not walking, dragging.